So we're going to cast you away on this desert island, and you're going to take some of these items with you. So let's hear about the first item that you've chosen that you're going to take along with you to this desert island.
So obviously the Quran is the book of Allah. It's the truth. It's Allah's word. We all believe it's 100% the truth. It comes from our Creator Himself. So the first is a verse of the Quran, and it's from the chapter of light, Surah Nur, chapter 24. When I was initially studying Arabic, I was improving my tajweed, the art of recitation, and alhamdulillah, as I progressed and it became a lot better, one of the earliest earliest chapters I memorized was this chapter, Surah Nur. And there's a verse, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally would say is the light of the heavens and the earth, but it's Allah's not created. So the scholars of tafsir says Allah is the source of the light of the air, of the heavens and the earth. And so that verse has always struck a chord with me, and I think it's a reminder of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything that leads to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is light. So you have light and you have darkness. So when you think of difficult times in your life, it's a moment of darkness. You feel in the dark. And darkness is actually just the absence of light. So when you have light, the darkness dissipates. And so if we had light in our lives, the darkness would dissipate. So whatever darkness it is, it will dissipate when there's light. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a light. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a guiding light. The ulama are light. When you see somebody who's very quote unquote pious, I mean, we can't judge piety because piety is something in the heart. But, we see a person, as they say, on his face is fi wajhi salah, in his face there's a kind of righteousness. You see these people who you feel, closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the company. And what will people say? The person's got nur on his face. He's got light on his face. Yeah. So there's a certain illumination, that physical illumination, there's a metaphorical illumination. So ultimately, everything that we're seeking is the light, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the light of the Prophet sallam. It's the light of these men of Allah. It's the light that we gain from the Quran, the light we gain from the Sunnah, the light we gain from all this beneficial knowledge. So this verse always reminds me of the importance of divine light.
And during some of your journeys, have there been any particular scholars or imams that have particularly had a significant impact on you in terms of you talking about light from people in Nur? Are there any scholars or individuals that you feel have had a big impact on you?
Yeah, some of my personal teachers who I think I just saw their lives and just saw so much dedication. Their whole life revolved around God, revolved around knowledge, revolved around benefiting other people, lives of sacrifice, doing without much of the world. So the other the things that people are interested in, the car you drive, the house you live in, the clothes you wear. These people were just like, this is just irrelevant. And being in their company, you start to take on those attributes. I mean, the reason the reasons the Sahaba are such great people is because they spent time in the company of the greatest of all people, and so some of the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ they adopted. And similarly, when you're with these people, you start to adopt. You see how they are with other people. You see how they're with their wife, their children, and you start to try to emulate them. So some of these people were just phenomenal. They would spend from day to night just benefiting. It was just like giving of themselves all the time. Before actually studying, one of the people that had a big impact on me, and I think a lot of people at that time, back in the 90s, was Shaykh Hamza Yusuf. And I think the reason he had such an impact, he was so articulate. It was one of the few scholars who could relate the Islamic science, the teachings of Quran Sunnah to Western life, and he'd quote Western books, and he'd show the correlation, and he'd show how Islam is, the truth. And again, you look at him and you think, this person was born Muslim. I'm a born Muslim. He actually chose this. He became he adopted this faith, and look at how much in such a short period he knows. And so it almost put you to shame in the sense that, we're born Muslims and we don't know about our religion. This person just become Muslim in a few years. Seems to have so much endless knowledge. So I attended a summer course with him, the Rihla course. It's very famous now, but that was the very first one, 1996. And I was only 19 at the time. Young guy. Shaykh Hamza was in his late 30s, some 20 years older, but so inspirational. And you could see the benefit he was having. And I think that was the first time I thought of a scholar as a role model, that I would actually like to be like him. I didn't get this feeling from the local imam. I didn't get this feeling from other scholars. It wasn't somebody I looked at and thought, yeah, I want to be like him. But I think that was the first time in my life, a scholar I looked at and thought, yeah, I could foresee myself being like somebody like him who can benefit so many people.
Thank you for listening to Desert Island Gems. Let us know what you think of the show, and keep an eye out for special versions on McMuslim.tv.